Hey you! Hey you learning English! Hey you non-native English person learning how to speak English! Look at me! I'm proud of you. And if you are a native English speaker, okay, come closer. Come a little bit closer. If you're a native English speaker and you're not kind to a non-native English speaker, I wish you nothing but the worst moving forward in life. Well, that's an interesting, sharp, aggressive start, you might be asking, but I don't think it really is, to be honest, because look, I'm an online English teacher. Hi, my name is Allie. I typically do travel content on YouTube, but I'm starting to feel fiery because everybody's saying stupid things online and getting paid to do it. So I might as well get paid to say less stupid things online. And as someone who teaches English online, I have noticed a pattern in all of my students, regardless of their age, regardless of their background, regardless of what country they're from. They all have this shared same experience of some American or some native English speaking person making them feel unheard or misunderstood because, I don't know. I mean, the people who are learning how to speak English, like I have so many students. I've met so many interesting people from all over the world who are making the effort to learn how to speak English for our benefit, for the native English speaking benefit. And yes, you can argue, well, they probably have their own motivation to learn English. Well, guess what? They're probably learning to speak English so they can help sell things to us English speakers, huh? And what do? Most of us don't learn a second language. Now, granted, when you grow up in the United States, depending on where you are, for the most part, we don't really prioritize learning a second language. Unless you have a first generation parent at home, you're probably learning, I don't know, a little bit of Spanish. It's just not like a conditional experience for everybody to be bilingual. Unlike on the continent of Europe, where most people are bilingual, and the second language they speak is usually English. Why? Why would it be English? Well, it's easier to learn English than some of these crazy Nordic, Slavic, Latin languages, that's true. And conveniently for us English speakers, it is the language of travel. The entire global traveling industry has been catered to us. Because we're such delicate little flowers, delicate little linguistic butterflies, fletching around the globe, asking people where the bathroom is, and if we could have a cappuccino after 2 p.m. We don't take into consideration the fact that the most of these people that we are speaking with are non-native English speakers who have taken the time to learn our mother tongue to make our lives easier. Okay, yes, logistically, they probably have a business or making money. Doesn't matter. Look, I lived in Vietnam, I lived in Thailand, I lived in Australia. Well, they speak English, kind of. They kind of speak English. I've lived in Croatia, I've lived in Italy, I've learned, and what I'm saying is, the only language I've tried to learn and that I can speak is Italian. What I'm saying is that when I lived in these countries, did I learn Vietnamese? Did I learn Thai? No, I was speaking English because they have made the effort to learn how to speak English, which is an incredibly kind gesture. And I think us native English speakers take it for granted constantly. Yes, there are a few countries that you can visit still to this day where the language barrier will be thicker than my thighs. Italy, I would argue, is one of them, depending on where you are. And of course, France, but being a native English speaker is a privilege. Lucky us. We learned how we were born into this culture, the owner, the overlord, the linguistic god of traveling and technology as well. So what I'm asking is this, my dear native English speaking friends. Okay, close to the camera. Great, okay. If you come across a non-native English speaker, okay, and you can see maybe they're struggling, maybe they're nervous, maybe they're embarrassed, maybe they're anxious, maybe they're overthinking, maybe, just maybe in their head, they are reciting the same phrase over and over again, hoping that you ask that question so that they can practice to say that one phrase. Let's pretend that's the person you're interacting with. Okay, great. Do me a favor. Be nice to them. Be nice to them. because you underestimate how much of an influence your interaction can have with the student, especially someone who is taking the time and effort to learn your language, when you're not taking the time and effort to learn their language. I started studying Italian. That was the first time I understood what this feeling feels like for non-native English speakers. Embarrassed. Ashamed? Which is weird, because it's like, well, you're trying to learn a foreign language, you shouldn't be ashamed, but you do, because as humans, we want to connect, we want to be understood. Doesn't matter what language you speak, as humans, we want to connect and we want to be understood, okay? So if another human being is trying to connect with you and trying to be understood, the least you can do is try to understand and try to connect with them. And my non-native English speaking bros and girlies and theys, thems, and everything in between, thank you and keep going. You're doing great, okay? Don't let these losers who speak one language get into your head. And in most situations, they are probably projecting their own insecurities over the fact that they don't speak 2 languages, and here you are probably speaking 3 or 4, and their native language is your 4th language, okay? Keep up with it. Native English speakers, be nice! And I will see you next time for my next rant about something important. Good night.